Deborah Logan, a fragile and brave elderly woman battling relentless Alzheimer's, with a past as an operator that now seems to fade into the fog of her mind, agrees to be filmed by Mia, Gavin, and Lewis for a documentary that will be Mia's graduation thesis. Who convinces her is none other than her daughter Sarah, her only support in a crumbling world. Sarah, desperate under the economic burden of caring for her mother, clings to this opportunity like a lifeline, despite the warnings from Harris Radel, a lifelong neighbor and friend, whose skepticism adds a touch of tension to the already complicated situation. At first, everything seems to proceed with a certain calmness. Mother and daughter relive painful memories, such as the premature death of Dennis, Deborah's husband and Sarah's father, and Sarah's homosexuality, which adds layers of complexity to their relationship. But, suddenly, as if a dark storm had burst into their lives, Deborah begins to deteriorate alarmingly. Her moments of lucidity are mixed with episodes of terrifying madness, digging holes in the garden in the dead of night, as if searching for something lost in the depths of the earth. Violence emerges, directed both at herself and others, creating an atmosphere of horror and despair that leaves everyone stunned and fearful of what might come next. In the midst of this chaos, relief seems a scarce commodity, but Sarah's determination to care for her mother, despite everything, shines like a beacon of hope in the darkness. Will they be able to overcome this trial together, or will Deborah's past and illness consume them both? One night, after Gavin and Lewis record a chilling audio in which Deborah, in an altered state, speaks in French about snakes and sacrifices, the group is paralyzed by terror when Deborah's old switchboard suddenly comes to life, receiving mysterious calls from line 337. Sarah, determined to unravel the mystery, delves into her mother's old files and discovers something disturbing. Deborah, in an act that defies her own obsessive order, had torn out the pages related to that line. Thanks to Louise's cleverness, they discover that those pages belonged to Henri Desjardins, a pediatrician who disappeared in the early 70s, who turned out to be the culprit behind the ritual murder of 4 girls. Desjardins, affected by ALS, had fallen into a spiral of madness, convinced that by following a Monacan ritual based on cannibalism, using snakes and offerings of the first menstrual blood of 5 girls, he would achieve immortality. The horror of his crimes and the darkness of his beliefs are simply overwhelming. When Sarah interrogates Deborah about Desjardins, the elderly woman, after claiming that the man was murdered, begins to exhibit strange medical phenomena that have nothing to do with Alzheimer's. These inexplicable events lead her to be admitted to a hospital, where, in a terrifying twist, she attempts to kidnap Cara Minetti, a girl suffering from cancer. Fear and desperation take hold of Sarah, who, in a desperate attempt, seeks the help of an exorcist, but in vain. Finally, Sarah and Mia go to Dr. Ernst Schiffer, an anthropologist expert in rituals, who reveals to them the only way to save Deborah: they must burn the source of her obsession. Will they be able to confront the darkness that has consumed Deborah and free her from her torment? Or will the cursed ritual drag them all into an abyss from which there is no return? The tension is palpable, and each revelation leaves you with your heart in your throat. As the tension reaches its peak, Harris, in a state of drunkenness and desperation, shoots at the Logan house, prompting Gavin to leave the place. In an act of desperation, Harris tries to fulfill Deborah's request and suffocates her with a pillow, but he is stopped by an invisible force that attacks him with supernatural violence. Dazed and terrified, Harris confesses to Sarah the hidden truth: Deborah killed Desjardins and buried him in the garden. The reason? Thanks to her work as a telephone operator, Deborah discovered that the doctor's fifth victim would be none other than Sarah. The horror of this revelation is overwhelming. Sarah, Mia, and Louis, realizing that Deborah is possessed by the spirit of Desjardins, embark on a desperate search for the doctor's body. They dig in the garden, but to their horror, they discover that Deborah has already unearthed it and hidden it in the attic. They try to burn Desjardins' remains, but their efforts are in vain. The situation becomes even more critical when Sarah receives the news that Deborah has escaped from the hospital, taking with her Cara, the girl with cancer. Following Desjardins' modus operandi, Sarah, Mia, and Sheriff Linda Tweed head to a mine, where they finally find Deborah and Cara. In a desperate, intense fight, Deborah kills Tweed and tries to devour Cara. In a moment of pure horror, Sarah manages to incite her mother to fight against Desjardins' spirit, nullifying the possession and saving Cara's life. The momentary relief is palpable, but the darkness has not yet been completely defeated. Months later, Deborah's health has drastically worsened, leaving her unable to move and speak. However, in a disturbing turn, Cara's cancer has completely retreated. During a television interview while celebrating her 10th birthday, Cara mentions that she has a secret project for the future, implying that it is not she who is speaking, but the spirit of Desjardins who now possesses her. The ending is chilling and leaves you with a sense of unease that lingers long after the story is over. What dark plans does Desjardins have now that he possesses Cara?